would have preferred coming in here today and having about half of you here and talking about Charlotte and Kansas and a team that's 11-2 and ranked wherever we are nationally and with a 17 RPI. But obviously, that's not going to be the focus of our visit. This has been a very difficult time, and we have tried to be as honest and open as we possibly could, given the circumstances, the information that we know, and passing that along to you and our fans. And we are still very, very much in a difficult state as it relates to our feelings, our disappointment. Both these four young men, as well as the people that have played for the University of Tennessee and our basketball programs, as long as I've been here, we've really worked hard to try to get our basketball program up to the level of excellence and credibility of the rest of the university. And when things like this happen, we just it tarnishes everything that we're trying to do. So I'll take some questions. I'll answer them as best I possibly can. And when I've exhausted the information that I have at this point, then I'd like to please move on to discuss our next two opponents.
Bruce, you've met with the players.
Yes.
Do you feel any better about the situation after having talked with them?
I think I don't feel any differently after talking to them. They're accountable. They're disappointed. They're embarrassed for themselves and for their families and for how they've represented the University of Tennessee. There are we have, as it relates to what we have several things that when you add them all together, it just it's a worst case scenario. I'd like to try and treat each individual fairly, and as we continue to gain the facts, we'll make decisions as it relates to their responsibility in the incident.
Do you have any more facts than you had Saturday? The police report says they're still investigating who the car was run into, but it was your thought that it was a friend of one of the players.
Right.
Do you have any more information since Saturday?
No, just that's what we understand, that the car was a friend's borrowed car.
Is there any chance they'll play against y'all?
The four individuals will not play against Charlotte.
Have you made a decision on Kansas yet?
We have not made any more decisions on that. And again, I think that's just because we don't have all the information. And it's not because we're not trying to get the information, but these things do take, there is a process that needs to take place.
Did you feel comfortable that when you talked to the players, they were forthcoming with you about what happened?
That they were forthcoming, but they understand that they understand the seriousness of what it is, and they're confused also. At the time that I talked to all four, none of them had talked to an attorney yet. They're all in the process of doing that. You walk a fine line between understanding the seriousness of the charges and the potential there. You allow law enforcement to determine to what degree this incident, what it based on a felony or a misdemeanor, based on how many charges for each person. You determine what the seriousness is. And obviously, I'm not an attorney, so we will listen and we'll make the appropriate decisions at the appropriate times.
Do you know the details? I mean, do you know who owned the guns? Do you know who
No.
owned the
I don't.
marijuana?
I don't. And as it relates to the details that I do know, I'll give you what I know. Certainly, I'm working very closely with Mike Hamilton, and he is as informed as I am.
How have your emotions, I guess, changed since you found out the news from anger, he said embarrassment Saturday, frustration? Where are you now? And still angry, or?
Well, I just think if you put yourself in a position of these are your four sons, and this is what they're going through right now, and then if you think about the other members of your family, the other student athletes on the team, the other student athletes on all the other teams, the other students at the entire student body, our athletic family, our fans and donors, university officials, the faculty member, and the guy that's going to clean this room up after we leave. I feel that burden and that responsibility for having let all those people down. So there's a balance in there. I want to, as a father, you have to love them, you have to care about them, you have to set a high expectation for them. You've got to discipline them, and I understand that everything that I do, has great impact. At the same time, you want to keep in perspective the fact that the four individuals have no criminal record and have done a lot of really good things at the university and are just as devastated and embarrassed and upset as anybody. So it's really important that we treat them fairly. I mean, you wouldn't want this, for any of your children. But if it happened to four other students here at the university, they wouldn't have been on national television all weekend, and we wouldn't be discussing these things so openly and publicly. So, I've been praying a lot and just allow this thing to run its course, and trust that the university officials and the athletic officials and myself will do the right thing.
Coach, this is obviously going to have a trickle-down effect on the court. How do you counter that?
I have got several refuges. One of the refuges is the colleagues that I work with. One of the refuges is the wife and my four children I go home to. And I can hardly wait to get to practice. I can't begin to tell you when I get around those student athletes that are on our team right now that is going to be a sanctuary that I'm going to be glad to be in. And my mind will be completely and totally away from any of this.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the mentality of how you see players' attitudes and mindset changing from back in the days when you were with Tom Davis? How much have these athletes changed, or have they changed?
I think people would like to say that that young people are so terribly different nowadays. I don't necessarily find that to be the case. I think young people still want discipline. They still want to be taught. They still want to be coached. They still want to be pushed. They want to be great. We do live in a now culture. We want to invest some money and be rich. We want to go in the weight room for a day and be strong. We want to put up a few shots and be able to shoot the ball. Just the now. It's just not necessarily to invest in and I think that's something that's societal, not just amongst student athletes, not just among but perhaps amongst young people. No, I don't see a change. Obviously, there's some cultures that exist that we have to deal with, and And so, like, for example, this would be the first time that I've dealt with a weapons situation. And so is there a weapons culture that exists or has existed? Is it more or less? This is new on me.
As culture changes, does Tennessee need to change its policy on drugs or to make it stricter, or is there anything you can do to even prohibit incidents?
Right. Well, we do everything. I think one thing that please understand, there's not going to be, there may be some policies that aren't in existence that will be. I know we don't want to allow guns on campus. I don't know that there's a specific gun policy as it relates to student athletes beyond what exists on campus. Will there be? Perhaps. Because we do have a different standard. I know we have a different standard when it comes to testing for drugs. That doesn't exist for other students, and that's required because of the NCAA. And in certain professions, that's something that's obviously required. I can tell you from having been here for 5 years now, we are doing a much better job with our testing. We are doing a much better job with the assistance we provide the student athletes once they test, as far as counseling and outpatient, inpatient. There were some there were some things in that regard that needed to improve, and they have improved tremendously. I'm confident that we are doing as much as any university as it relates to the educational process, the drug testing process, the counseling process, the care that's being given. And I can, unfortunately, I'm not proud of this, but I've had to suspend and dismiss several players over the course of my career here at Tennessee.
You have talked to parents, I understand, on this team and recruits as well. Can you share how those conversations went?
The conversations are obviously things that take place within a framework of a family. And everybody's sad, disappointed. Everybody's bearing the brunt of what's taking place. And we're going to stick together.